Right next to him, Steve Wallace, 5-Hour Energy camera. He is starting in the 17th spot. Check on the championship leader, Brad Keselowski, trying to pick his way through the field. Took the green flag in 13th spot, working on Stephen Wallace there to try and get back to 13th. Right now, Brad running in 14th position in that 22.
Yeah, I think Brad Keselowski is making, just making good decisions. He's being very conservative. This is just a race he needs to survive and not beat himself.
Yeah, you got to believe that. That's absolutely correct, because like we talked earlier in the broadcast, what's the key around this track? Stay on the course. Don't tear your car up. And I really think they're anticipating that first pit stop and just logging laps right now and trying to feel the car out and not make any mistakes.
Yeah, I talked to Brad here on Thursday during the test day before he went off to Sonoma to do the Sprint Cup qualifying yesterday, and he talked about this day being one of being about common sense for him. Just got to keep the car on the pavement, let the race play out for a while, let the strategy play out for a while, and right now he's back in traffic where that's easier said than done.
Well, you'd be surprised how many spots you can gain by just being conservative and staying on the track. Yeah. Because these other guys are going to beat themselves, and you can just take their spot as they do it, and it's not a bad way to make ground in the make headway up in the field. Just let the other guys make the mistakes.
You know, we talk about staying on the racetrack, and to some people that might think, hey, that's pretty simple. I mean, it's a no-brainer. We know we're supposed to stay on the track, but when you're running this fast, 165 like they are now, into turn one, and you're downshifting and you're locking the wheels up, trust me, folks, it's hard to stay on the track.
Well, I know, Rusty, you were talking to your son Steven here in the 66 about slowing down. And his natural instinct as a race driver, and anybody's instinct as a race driver, is to pass that car in front of him.
Oh, yeah, and I told him, I said, you're going to tear your transmission up, you're going to burn brakes up. He said, Dad, it seems like the smoother I am, the slower I am. I said, well, yeah. He said, I got to attack this track to get the car to run fast. I said, you know what? It's not going to survive with you doing that. You're going to have to take care of it. And, you know, don't wish any bad luck on anybody, but we did see a problem with Allgaier early because of those rumble strips.
And will be the first car off of pit road.
Our nationwide insurance race off of pit road. Owen Kelly gaining a spot. Fellows, Hornaday. How about Steve Wallace up 4 on the pit stop?
They got a fast pit crew. They've been practicing really hard. And look at Brad Keselowski, 4 spots for him also. We know the Penske guys are fast.
Talking to Stephen Wallace early in the weekend, you could really sense the frustration. He was having a hard time figuring out how to get around this place fast, but at the same time under control. Well, he has seemingly figured it out. At the beginning of the race, he was complaining that he wasn't getting enough grip and that his rear was a little bit softer compared to the other cars. However, those complaints have gone away. Stephen's been relatively happy with the race car since about lap 10. Doc?
My tach says it's right, but it's not right. On the caution flag or back in the garage area before this race, they set these tachometers, and they probably set it wrong.
Nearing halfway in this race, watching Brad Keselowski here try to pick up a spot on Stephen Wallace. Keselowski in the 22, the championship leader. Wallace 66, Michael McDowell 81. And this is going to be for 11th, 12th, and 13th spots. And we talked about Stenhouse slowing down.
Yeah, he could have been down to just maybe 1 gear in the transmission, not able to accelerate. We're just kind of speculating, don't know what it was, but they got to go to the garage and look and see if they can fix it.
And again, we'll effort follow-up information there from the garage on why the 6 has gone behind the wall. So while we watch this race, what I wanted to comment on was a lot of folks were concerned about this being a real caution fest when we came up here, right? Very technical course, a lot of heavy braking, 14 corners, the whole thing. We've only had a couple of cautions. One was for an engine and dropping oil.
Well, I'll go ahead and say right now, I was the one that thought we'd just be a caution fest, and I'm dead wrong. We haven't seen that many cautions here. What we got, 1? Is that about it right now?
Yeah, the one for oil and then the one for Allgaier breaking the track bar, and that's it.
Yeah, these guys have been doing a fantastic job, but, you know, you go back and think about it, Andy, going into it, all the drivers did talk about getting off course, and I think they all know what they can get away with and can't get away with, and they don't want to get away with much, because if you get off track, you're in trouble here. And right there, those ripple strips, they've been staying off those pretty good, too.
I talked to almost every crew chief in the garage that I talked to thought the same thing. They thought that they were going to have a lot, they were going to be able to count on a lot of caution flag laps to extend their range into figuring their strategy. But I bet you that a lot of them are rethinking that now after we've not seen anywhere near the amount of cautions we thought we'd have.
And so that comes back to the discussion we had earlier about brakes. People trying to decide whether to go for the aggressive, heavy stopping power brakes, expecting a lot of cautions to cool those brakes down, or the long runs where they needed kind of a more endurance mode of brake.
Yeah, you see right there, Brad Keselowski trying to use his brakes to get a spot on Stephen Wallace, but not able to do that. Matter of fact, Stephen Wallace out-braked him pretty good getting in that corner.
You know, Andy, I was talking to Ron Fellows. I mentioned his name quite a bit in the show because we had a lot of talk with him about braking and the bad spots. And, of course, he told me, so Rusty, you know, I know turn 1 looks like you can make a lot of passes there, but it's really hard to make those passes in turn 1.
Will stretch the lead as much as 4, 5, 6 seconds.
And so Edwards pitting under this caution with most of the other front runners. He got off the pit road first, but he's going to restart in 4th position. 3 cars did not pit. Patrick Long in the 90s, Steve Wallace in the 66, and the 05 car of Victor Gonzalez Jr. They are 1, 2, and 3. Long, having lane choice for the restart, has chosen driver's right. On a normal oval track, that'd be the outside lane.
It's the inside here.
It's the inside here, and that's it. What a beautiful look it is at this 4-mile course on 460 acres, 55 years old, and seeing the NASCAR Nationwide Series for the very first time today. Coming to a restart, Patrick Long in the 90s, the leader. Steve Wallace, 66, is second. Third is the 05 car. Because of the way the restart rules work, he's driver's left for the restart. That's Victor Gonzalez Jr. They did not pit those 3 cars. Then the dominant driver on the day, Carl Edwards, in that 60, who is on the inside of row 2. Jamie?
And Patrick Long in the 90, you guys, you can't say enough about this team. First of all, usually this team is a start and park.
21 laps to go as they cross the start-finish line for this restart. See how quickly Carl Edwards can get back to the lead. And those 2 yellow cars there. See if Menard can finally clear Villeneuve or not.
He had the position on him, but by the way they lined up, it looks like Villeneuve's going to have the preferred line getting into turn 1.
Oh, Brad Coleman going to stick it down there inside.
Easy.
18.
Boy, they're really getting aggressive, getting down into turn 3 right here. Look at it, 2 wide, 3 wide. Oh, the 05 locks up the rear wheels.
Oh, boy.
Saved it.
Nice. Sorry, I was holding my breath. That had potential to be a mess right there. Edwards inside of Steve Wallace to second as they go down the hill to turn 5. Wallace with the block on Villeneuve. But not for long.
Boy, that is a tight quarters to enter turn 5 there. Big drag race up the hill into 6 here. Whoa.
Little wiggle.
Maybe a little help.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Menard.